Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this video lecture, we are going to discuss about reverse engineering. Let's go to the discussion now. Okay, so what do you mean by reverse engineering? It is the process of deconstructing an hardware or a software to explore the features and the architecture, right? So each and every hardware device or a software program, okay, it will have certain design structure. Okay, so in order to understand the design structure, few group of people or an organization will do this reverse engineering process. By doing this reverse engineering process, they will be able to understand the functionalities and the architecture of that hardware device, or it might be a software program. Okay, so the capability of system will be revealed during the reverse engineering process. So when do they do that? Like what are all the situation they will perform reverse engineering in the sense whenever a group of people are who are doing the reverse engineering. So if they don't have proper information or complete information about something, they wanted to explore that device, right? They wanted to explore that software system, software application. So in that situations, they will do the reverse engineering process. Okay, usually reverse engineering can be done in several objects. The first one is that hardware. Usually we have a belief like hardwares are immutable. It means it cannot be changed or it cannot be modified, something like that, right? So but situation is not like that now. All the hardware devices can be updated using by running a software on that, updated software on that. Okay, so what does it mean? Like hardware can be re-engineered. Hardware can be re-engineered. For example, if they are producing a hardware which used to perform certain level of process at a certain speed, then they come out with a software program and they execute that software program in that hardware device to enhance the efficiency of the hardware. Like, so nowadays hardwares are software defined. Based on the software update that runs on the hardware, the hardware changes its functionalities. Okay, and then what else? Okay, and we need hardware to run software, and that software should be trusted. For example, if I am using a microphone here, like if I want to install this microphone, I need software, and that software should be a trusted software. It should be like a legitimate software. Okay, so the first point that we need to keep in the mind in this sense, hardware can be re-engineered. Okay, hardware can be re-engineered. So the next thing, how we can avoid this re-engineering thing, by following a concept called source authenticity. It means where you are buying the device from. Okay, a same device can be available from different stores and from different company that they produce that. But make sure you're always buying your products. It might be a hardware product or it might be a software product. Keep in mind that whenever you're buying a product, make sure you're buying that from the authenticated source, because not all the programs are secured or not all the hardwares are secured. It might have malicious content that we should be very careful about. Okay, and always whenever you're buying a device, make sure you're buying that device from the legitimate sources. Otherwise it might lead to security issues. For example, like you might buy a flash drive, and you can install that flash drive, insert that flash drive into your computer device. The main purpose of that flash drive is to store, it is used as a tertiary storage device, right? But we don't know what else it is doing in your computer. As soon as you inserted that in the computer device, an executable program is executed. So you can see the space in that flash drive. But apart from that, it can perform some other functionality as well that we might not know about it. So always make sure you're buying products from a legitimate source. Okay, in case of buying a fake product, what will happen in case, like if you want to approach the producer for the technical support or some other technical issues that you're facing, they might not support you. Okay, the legitimate users will not, producers will not support you to fix the fake product that you bought. Okay, so that's what we always need to buy products from the authorized dealers. Okay, so why we are discussing these stuffs now? So cyber security is kind of a most challenging thing nowadays. Okay, so we are learning things that we can avoid so that we can avoid these cyber security related problems. Okay, so whenever you buy a hardware or a software, make sure you are buying that from a legitimate source. And we have something called trusted foundry. It means like even in the military field, okay, even in the military field, they use various hardware and software components, and they use that to share the most confidential data, right? So more than anywhere else, the security is most important in the field of defense. So those defense field, like there are newsers, right? Before 10 years or 15 years, there are many newsers, like the data leak happened from the military sources. We heard about it. So what they did afterwards, like they insisted more on security. So whatever devices that they are purchasing, they will purchase those devices only from the trusted foundries. More than 70 companies are there in the United States who produce the most secure product, and they supply that for the military purposes. So an organization which developed the product to meet security standards. So that's what called as trusted foundry. And we have something called OEM documentation. OEM documentation is can be expanded like original equipment manufacturers. Okay, so actually it will be, this documentation will be provided by the manufacturer itself. It will have all the detailed specifications of the product. Okay, so that detailed specification will help you from not buying any counterfeit products, any fake products. Because when you buy a fake product, you can compare that fake product with this technical specification. If the data mentioned in the technical documentation, OEM documentation, is not matching with the product, then the product is obviously a counterfeit product. Okay, so reversing hardware. And the next thing is reversing hardware. How we can check if an hardware is a legitimate or a counterfeit product? So we can do that by using some tools like packet analyzer or oscillation. Let me explain this with you a real-time example. For example, I am buying a mobile phone, okay, which has a most reputable brand. Okay, but obviously that mobile phone is a counterfeit product. For example, it means like it is a fake product. Now I can check using some of the hardware tools that I can, like I can use an oscillator, and I can oscilloscope, and I can check how much of voltage fluctuation does it have. So if you research that in the Google or some other OEM documentation, if it is showing the fluctuation should be ranging from 4 volts to 5 volts, but your device is fluctuating from 8 volts to 9 volts, obviously some of the parts in that device might be a counterfeit product. So in that way, we can we can check whether the hardware is reverse engineered or not. Okay, and then software can also be re-engineered. Okay, but in order to re-engineer a software, you need to have a very depth understanding on coding. So you need to understand the source code first, and after understanding the source code, you can re-engineer the software itself. Because re-engineering a software without having sufficient amount of knowledge about programming is not possible. Because as I mentioned already, as like a hardware, software will also have architecture. It will have some kind of a algorithm which it follows, right? And then hashing. In order to secure your data which is in the hardware or in the software, you can use hashing function. As you can see in the diagram, so plain text will be given as the input to an hash function or an hash algorithm, and it will generate a hash text. So what happens, like I'm sending a data, confidential data, using a software application. Okay, so now I create a hash function and I will send the hash function to the receiver. So I will have the hash function. I will generate a hash value and I will have that hash value and I will share that hash value with the receiver. Now, after the receiver receives the actual data, he will apply the hash function again. And if he receives the same hash value that I sent it, it means data is not altered. Otherwise, data is altered. Then we have to investigate how data was altered. It was whether it was a software problem or it might be a software problem or it might be a hardware problem that we need to investigate in the later process. Okay, and then decomposition. So decomposition is also kind of a software reverse engineering process. Like we all know that humans use a language that they can understand, whereas computer understand a different language. So whenever you write a source code, that source code will be converted into assembly level language, and from the assembly level language it will be converted into machine level language. Okay, so user language will be converted into assembly language, and assembly language, assembler converts that assembly language to the machine language. That machine language is all about ones and zeros. So if you want to investigate a software, if you want to check if a software is re-engineered or not, you will have to understand the machine language, right? So that concept is called as decomposition. Like a single entity is broken into different subparts, and then you are investigating the core one. Okay, and finally isolation. So in our previous chapter, like we discussed about sandboxing. Okay, isolation, sandboxing. So sandboxing is not only applied in order to secure the end system, and also sandboxing can be applied to check the genuineness of a software. You create a sandbox, it means you can create a virtual computer, and in that virtual computer you will install that software application and allow the software application to run and monitor what does that software application do. Okay, so by analyzing it, you will come to know whether it is a legitimate or a counterfeit software products. Cuckoo Sandbox is one of the open source software that you can download in order to sandbox the software that you need to find the genuineness. Okay, so this is what all about reverse engineering is all about. So reverse engineering can be done using a hardware, and reverse engineering can be done in a hardware as well as in the software. So whatever we discussed so far, you should have some kind of knowledge about how to avoid a re-engineered product. It may be hardware or a software. Okay, thanks for watching the video, guys. Thank you.